Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back once again to the Glowing Sea, where today we're going to add a workshop and a war rig battle truck type thing. So, if you like what you see, do hit that big red button for me, and let's get stuck in. So this turned out to be simple when I actually recorded it, but a right pain in the neck the first time round. Because I don't normally sort of pre-practice things, but it turned out to be a good call on this particular occasion. So, basic floor in place, because we're going to use these tents, as you'll see in just a moment, which are temperamental, to say the least. They are very fussy about where they go. I did try all sorts of things. For some reason they won't group select. I don't quite know what reason, but they don't seem to want to do it. They just go red and stay that way. I've tried rug glitching them, which is doable. This end nearest to us is a big hole, and that's actually where the contact point is, weirdly enough. But it's, of course, unless you're going to leave the rug in, which will invariably end up floating in midair, then, thus rendering the thing useless, obviously, then it just sinks down or flies up into the air, so that didn't work either. Funnily enough, just moving them in closer together once I'd made a larger floor like this, just seemed to work absolutely fine. Which I tried to do several times before and it didn't work fine, but hell knows. I'm just going to take it and run with it as soon as it worked. I've taken that corner off so that I don't group select the entire building, walls that being, and there we go. And now the floor is basically acting like a rug as far as the tents are concerned, which is great. So I can just carefully move that whole lot in, and it'll also shove nice and close to the wall there. I'll skip over me faffing with it a fair bit there. It's kind of low in a few places and unrealistically solid, so yeah, kind of have to make do with the fact there's no headroom in a couple of points, but still, it's kind of cool. It was something a little bit different which I wanted to do. So we're going to slide a few ramps in there. These are roof pieces rather from custom vanilla assets, so we've got various angles available. I did try one of the shallow ones first, but it wasn't quite steep enough to connect to the ground. Just stretching it a little bit there, but it works. And the rest of them going just fine, as you can see. There we go, number 3. So I'm saying war rig type thing, because it's basically started out life as a van. I was originally going to do a pickup truck, but I figure they'd want some means of travelling around the Glowing Sea in relative safety and bringing back whatever it is they happen to need for building or whatever else. And although it's kind of a work in progress, as you'll see in a bit, it's pretty cool. Once they get the thing going, we'll provide a relatively secure way of travelling about. For now, we're going to not exactly wall this place off, but enclose it, I think would be a better word. As walling it off just wouldn't make sense with the tent roofs. So we'll put a few cinder block walls in there. This section we're doing now is actually one of the lowest points on the roof, which is why it won't go in manually, and I'm using a chain of rugs. I did try group selecting it, but it was being a bit awkward, so rug glitch and leave them in place was the final decision, which I think went on to cause problems later on. But, yeah, what can you do? I suppose I could have rug glitched them all in and just had them hope they all sink down by a roughly even amount, but we got there in the end. I had to break my one rule a little bit, but what can you say? Sacrifices have to be made. So that's the back wall. I actually end up changing this corner out for a manually created stack, because I end up putting a gate in that entrance rather in that corner, just because there's not much room to move around in there. For now, we'll seal off the back. And just a little bit of rug and pillar just to move some walls in. Do need to use the rug glitch for this, because there's actually bits of the floor underneath the ground there that you can't really see, and they're getting in the way. So, I'll say, repeat this a couple of times. In other news, those of you who have been around a while may be aware that Saturday will be the first birthday for this little channel of ours, which is freaking awesome. It's been a crazy good year. I absolutely enjoyed every second of it. It's been brilliant. So, hopefully on Saturday I'll have something fun and a little interesting for you to acknowledge that fact. Spent a little bit of time working on that so far. It should be quite cool when we get it done. So it gives you something to look forward to. In the meantime, this is coming together reasonably nicely. When I actually came to decorate it, because the floor's underneath, it was a bit of a pain to get some of the objects inside. So I ended up group selecting them from the outside of the walls, just getting that pillar back as far as possible. And just taking advantage of the gap between the two objects. But it worked in the end, that's the main thing. It's kind of the story with this build, really. Quite simple and easy, really, on the whole. Relatively short, which makes a pleasant change, especially after the marathon session of the walls last time. So, we'll group select some chain link in there. The reason I'm using the conduit as well here is because I've still got some floor pieces underneath the ground there that are getting in the way. As it turns out, I can take most of them off. I think it's the one with this particular leg of the tent right in front of us here that was the only one I couldn't remove. But when I eventually figured out that I could remove the others, it made life an awful lot easier. Here we go. That one went quite well as well. I pulled that out very carefully just in case the tent came with it. So. And after that, these railings will just snap straight to the floor, which is great. There we go. Small amount of clipping going on, but I can live with it. I might fine-tune it later if I remember. Big if. That's basically the main structure of the workshop. So, our war rig battle truck type thing. You can see already why it's a battle truck. It's more of a van, but with like the top half missing, I think. But it fits the bill for something that's got space to sort of store and put things in behind if need be. I'm also probably in the next part going to add a kind of trailer, but at this stage it's going to be more of a Brahman pulled thing than a thing attached to this, whatever we end up finally calling it. But they do need some means of dragging big heavy objects around, so we'll come up with something in a bit. Next time. So, a couple of military barricade pieces, just group selected straight onto the side there, make it a bit more secure, give it a bit of protection. And unfortunately I haven't got really anything that works as a windscreen or to fully repair the cab, so this is going to be a soft top. But, yeah, you know, it's quite cool. A bit of barrier there to protect against, I have absolutely no idea what. But whatever, it looks cool. This one's one of the new ones added in USO, and as you can see, we just group selected it in. Doing this whole thing, actually, was kind of fiddly. In hindsight, if you're not using Place Anywhere, which, spoiler, I'm going to have to go on ahead to use, you may well wish to consider placing the truck or whatever, if you're doing something similar yourself, on a large rug before you start decorating it. And then you can just rug glitch the whole thing later. In theory, possibly. Otherwise you might have to see if you can work some group select magic, but it was being a pain in the neck, as you'll see in a bit. So Place Anywhere was the end result. For now, there's another one of the new pieces, and we'll just glitch that in to divide the front and the back off. If you, God, what are these things called? Barriers from motorways, freeways, whatever. They have got a specific name on it, but I can't for the life of me remember them right now. Anywho, there's a few different styles and sections. These curved ones work quite well on here, and I bet you find somewhere that they're willing to glitch in. So put a couple on the sides and then a couple more at the front to finish out the look. There we go. As you'll see in a moment, I actually wound up taking these two off the front and putting them back on again later, but you'll see why in just a moment. To be completely honest, having seen some amazing wall rig designs, both on console and on PC, the PC ones are just terrifyingly good. But even with the limitations of console, I've seen some amazing designs, and yeah, can't even hope to emulate. Then again, with the limited space I'm planning on putting it in, it wouldn't really help much to do so anyway. So it has to be a kind of work in progress, I think. Once I figure out that the rugs are interacting there we go. Be able to put a seat in this thing. I did try group selecting this in, but unfortunately collision kicked in a bit too soon there, so arguably it would have just gone straight in freehand, but wouldn't have sat quite as low as I would have liked then. Can't quite see what I'm doing, so I'll hop over that front barricade. And there we go. It's the weird remains of a seat there, I think. Which I did think about putting a sleeping bag on, but thought a sofa would be cooler. So there we go. And so I'm going to use a group select based technique to move the whole thing into place later. You have to make sure you don't leave any of the rugs in place, otherwise the object that you've got sat on the rug will just stay right where it is, unless you're very, very lucky. So, another of the retextured tables added by USO, and we're going to put a missile turret on it. I did want one of the ordinary ones, but I can't find them, so incendiary it is. Don't know if that's supposed to be the shrapnel one or the incendiary one that's a standard, but who knows. Either way, these varying types of turrets are added in Aslam's workshop turret pack. It's a very handy mod. It's got loads of different turrets you can use in it, with varying different effects as well, which is quite cool. For now, I'm going to have to settle for one missile, as clearly the collision's getting in the way there. As they'll sit perfectly happily on the table, you rug glitch the whole lot, or sort of just move the table and have the turret come with it. But if I group selected it in to make it fit, unfortunately I wouldn't be able to do that. That second turret would still be left behind. Otherwise I'd have needed a very long chain to position it in once the table was already in. Unfortunately it's popped down a little bit there when I took the rug out, which just left it not sitting level with the missile turret. On the other hand, when I selected it, it popped right back up into a happy position, and the turret will sit on top. I realise at this point that if that thing gets fired, then the driver's probably in for a very bad day. But I assume it would be a weapon of last resort and he can duck or something. On the other hand, it's not really that surprising if they've tried to build this thing and not done the best job in the world of it. It's a work in progress, what can I say? These particular turrets are minigun turrets added by the aforementioned mod. And you can see now why I'm going to have to take those front pieces off, because those legs are sticking through far too much. Fortunately, with a little bit of reworking, get the thing to sit a little bit closer in, and when we put the barriers on, it hides the feet much more effectively, which is very, very cool. And it's just a matter of fiddling around with group select until it wants to cooperate, really. It's not ideal, but at least with the barriers in the front we can hide it a little bit. Nudge that into place. These things are reasonably cooperative, which is quite helpful. Reasonably. There we go. A little unbelievable. We just have to assume they riveted the vertical piece in as well. I suppose it'd make it considerably more solid if they happened to use it as a ram, actually, leaving those vertical pieces on, so that kind of makes sense. And it did make it a lot easier to line up when I came to move it into place in just a moment. So, you can take a quick look at my group selecting issues now. The initial idea is to get the bottom of the pillar level with the bottom of the truck. Gee, I think part of the problem might also be that the truck's not actually flat on the bottom, it kind of leans over sideways. As if I'd used a pickup truck, I wouldn't have had that particular problem. It would have been probably too tall, I think. But so I'll attempt to sink it into the ground a little bit and then level it up again. Unfortunately, the pillar's a little too high there. If it's not below or equal to, at least, the level of the bottom of the object you're trying to group select, then it will pop up like that. But as you can see, even with a conduit, it's just not going to play. So I got frustrated and elected to use Swapper instead. I actually kind of made a hash of using Swapper on this occasion. So I've cut most of my messing around out, just because it's really not the best example of a how-to. I think somewhere in my Grettor's Marina build, if you want to see how to use it, there's a reasonably good example, if I remember rightly. It was a while ago now. But there we go. See, I've done a little bit of decoration, turned it into a workshop garage type thing. A couple of coolant pumps there. Not sure if they know quite how those are supposed to work or not, but I've obviously seen them around and brought a couple with them. There's actually a red rocket not very far from here, actually. Just off in the direction we're looking, I believe, more or less. Most of the shelving comes from Aslam's workshop decoration pack. The tyres are stacked up from custom vanilla assets, just group selected one on top of the other and then group selected en masse into place. But there is our battle truck. Realised right at the last minute I hadn't put a blowtorch in there anyway, which seemed kind of ridiculous, so there it is on top of the little step ladder there. See the slightly odd walk around the outside there, just because you literally can't get underneath that corner of the tent. So. And they're nigh on impossible to lift up. As I said last time, I'm more or less going to hide parts of the inside of the walls, which is why I haven't decorated them with the various structures I'm putting in. You sort of see what I'm talking about there. Especially as this section is now all but invisible. And we've got some construction lights so they can see what they're doing as well. And that is pretty much that. So thank you very much for watching as always. Do hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to keep up to date with everything going on the channel, you can find social media links down in the description. And I will be speaking to you all very, very soon. Thank you very much.